afternoon, I am Vicky McCullum with the Wednesday edition of the Our City COVID-19 news show. We will be updating you on the latest information and resources around the COVID-19 pandemic while unpacking deeper issues as they emerge. Today we will show you Home Affairs Minister Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi's address at yesterday's briefing to the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs and the Select Committee on Security and Justice that covered the department's services, especially what is being offered during the state of the national disaster. Later, we will flight a short documentary about waste pickers and how the lockdown has impacted their livelihoods. Stay tuned for that and more. We encourage you to get in touch with us. We want to hear from you as we welcome contributions from movements, healthcare providers, and our audience. We want this program to be a two-way flow of information, so please get in touch with us. Moving to the news. As we enter day 33 of the national lockdown, the current number of confirmed COVID-19 cases stands at 4,996, with 2,073 recoveries and 93 deaths. We're going to take a quick ad break. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back. You're still watching Our City News with me, Vicky McCullum. Khayelicha's COVID-19 cases have increased by almost 250%, according to Western Cape Premier Alan Winde. He confirmed that Khayelicha had 205 cases at 5 p.m. on Monday, up 247% from a week earlier, and 30% in the past 24 hours. Overall, the Western Cape has 1,778 confirmed cases, an increase of 4 brought the fatalities to 35. 2 more deaths have been reported. The city's Mako for Community Services and Health Councillor Zahid Badruddin said screening areas were determined by where positive cases have been identified or where a high risk of infection existed. The driver of a meat delivery truck and his 2 passengers were held at gunpoint after 3 men hijacked the vehicle at a traffic light on Governor Mbeki Drive. Western Cape Police spokesperson Oloyiso Khwekhana said in a statement that the men drove the truck into the Ramaphosa informal settlement in Philippi, where they dropped off the hostages, leaving 1 man to guard them, before unpacking the meat inside the settlement. A suspect then returned to the truck and ordered the driver to leave the area, after which he reported the incident to police patrolling the district. 1 man was arrested after being found in the back of the truck, and 2 others were found with meat shortly afterwards. The Tomlato Children's Home is pleading for help as they struggle to provide food for the foster children in their care. The home, which cares for the well-being of 22 youngsters, is struggling. Zelda has more.
With South Africa being on national lockdown, this has become a disadvantage for Tomlato Children's Home here in Gugulethu. Despite all of the challenges that they face, they are able to feed 22 children in the entire community by hosting a soup kitchen every day.
Afternoon angel into lo mhlobo esathi sithi ngomama naseKhayelicha indawo yonke sikhona left yonke indawo esayibiza ngoba masincedele abantwana babuye ezikolweni umntana afike kwabo ungekho umuntu agciniswe next door adibane nento ezirongo kenza into ezirongo abanye abantwana kwezinye next door siya safumanisa kule nto le lockdown iba siya sayekelela upheke kuba abantwana bagcwala baphe eyadini sabona ukuthi hayi manje bengintoni bangibasiyeke upheka asibona imfuneko ngoba basike bafola ngapha kweyadi bafoliswa abantwana ngendlela ngoba lelo naxesha ekufuneka ngalo ukutya oku.
The major challenge that the home faces is not having enough food to feed the children. Despite all of that, they are still able to educate the children about the coronavirus.
Abantwana bayalamba kakhulu and ngokuthi noba bayadlala apha esitratweni babona uba ingqondo ayithathi kakuhle, uyaqona. So zenduke ngosii-challenges ezikuthi siyazama siyabaxelela even nangoxa befola for ukutya siyabaxelela 1 meter away, uyaqona. Hayi kodwa bayazama, bayazama.
Serving the community and assisting at the home is what Sinethemba does on a daily basis. And giving back is what he does wholeheartedly.
Ultimately, yona nto endincedisa ngayo apha endlini kuspread message. Ndicela abantu ke nithi khanincediseni apho nalapho, you know, and usually message yakhawuleza kufikelele ebantwini. Nabantu mama abandaziyo personally bayancedisa distribute message. So umsebenzi wami unjalo. Well, I guess it's just maybe calling yam, maybe purpose yam to serve a community, to serve abantu. And that is because, you know, awunohlala wena mhlambi uthi unayo into encinci, you know, and don't share with the little that you have. So for me, it's all about ukusebenzisa the little that I can and the little that I have, just to spread the message. So I guess it's just important as a community.
Growing up at the home has encouraged this 16-year-old to work hard and fulfill his dreams. He hopes that one day he will follow in his grandmother's footsteps and open an orphanage home.
Njengoba umakhulu wami esenza le nto egcina abantwana, nami xa ndimdala maybe ndingafuna ndibemdala amaphupha amafezeke. Like xa ndimdala mna ndifuna ukukhela nje abantwana orphanage home, abantwana abangenabazali. So nami wish yami leyo.
Despite the lockdown being a disadvantage for the home, with the little that they have, they are still able to provide for the 22 children that they foster.
We're taking a quick break. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back. You're still watching the Our City COVID show with me, Vicky McCullum. We will be giving you the latest updates on the COVID-19 pandemic and sharing essential resources and information with you. The Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs and the Select Committee on Security and Justice held a virtual meeting with the Department of Home Affairs yesterday to consider various issues. These included the procurement of the Beitbridge border fence, the closure of ports of entry during the COVID-19 pandemic, and a briefing on the areas where services will be rendered during this time.
Now, on presentation number 1, is written that it will be presented by Mr. J. McKay. It gives an impression that Mr. McKay will give all the presentation. No, he will only present the first presentation. The second one will be presented by the Deputy Minister of Home Affairs, Honorable Njabule Nzuza. The third and fourth presentation will be presented by myself as Minister of Home Affairs. Then we'll give over to you, Chairperson, to conduct the meeting. The reason that we did it in 4 different presentations is because we want to give you 4 different aspects of our work during the COVID-19 lockdown. The first presentation by Minister McKay is mostly administrative in terms of how much money we have budgeted, how much we have spent, what have we procured, how did we safeguard our own workers in the frontline offices and in all the other offices, but also how did we safeguard the clients who were coming in, because Home Affairs offices were not closed, but were presenting certain services, and he will also mention those services. And then he will show you exactly, as I'm saying, the amount spent and all that. The second presentation by the Deputy Minister will deal specifically with the proposed birth registration recovery plan plus collection of IDs. When Mr. McKay, the acting DG, when he presents, you'll notice that Home Affairs were offering only 3 services. It was offering death certificates. There we had no option. We had to issue them because people have to be buried. But it was also offering replacement birth certificate, not birth certificate from the beginning, from birth, but replacement. That means somebody who has had a birth certificate before and either has misplaced it or lost it and want to go to SASSA for child support grant, we give them a replacement. The third document we're issuing is a replacement ID. A person who has had an ID, maybe has misplaced it or lost it, will replace it. Those were the services, which means there were fewer people in the office, but we still have to safeguard them. The third presentation is about the borders. What happened at the borders when they were closed, I mean before they were closed and when they were closed, and what is our work there. And the last presentation, as demanded by the committee, is the issue of refugees in the Western Cape in the Methodist Church. Chairperson, firstly, to Honorable Anele, the question really I want to answer there is the ports of entry which were closed. How sure were we that there was no movement of people? In all the 35 ports of entry, when we closed them, SAPS was not removed. Police remained there. Because remember, in all the ports of entry, there are police. There are members of SAPS. So when we closed that port, it was closed physically, you know, gates and all that, but police remained. The other question, which I would like to answer, I'm sure the issue of repatriation by Honorable Janji, why is the repatriation not taking place? And the timelines, we are not repatriating anybody because we don't want a lot of movement inside the lockdown. And we are not able to offer the timelines because it will depend on what the ambassadors have said. And I will explain later exactly how they approach the whole thing. The other question I would like to answer, whether ambassadors from Honorable Lisel van der Merwe, whether ambassadors did offer any help. Yes, indeed, Honorable van der Merwe, they did. The ambassadors clearly said, if people need to be repatriated, they will help. They even went to an extent of saying their president actually want their people back. The ambassador of Burundi even told us that they are closing refugee camps in Tanzania because the president has called everybody to come back home. The ambassador of DRC reported the same thing, and the ambassador of Ethiopia. The problem is that I've not yet met ambassadors of countries like Rwanda, Somalia, where some of the refugees come from. But I want to remind the House again that the issue of repatriation was not a first choice, neither for Home Affairs or the committee. The conclusion of that meeting was that we reintegrate people in society only when they refuse, because they are still refusing up to now. Only when they refuse, then we consider repatriation. So it was not our first choice. And the ambassador said, if repatriation does take place, they will definitely help, and they are happy to help. The issue of Honorable Lisel again about mothers coming there. Mothers don't have to come with babies to collect birth certificate. They only have to come with documents from the hospital. The baby need not be there. So I just wanted to clarify that as long as the mother has got documentation from the hospital where the baby was born. The issue of bringing back South Africans, Honorable Mola, the issue of bringing back South Africans, I mentioned it very clearly. It's not Home Affairs which decides which South African must be brought back home. It's DECO. All the embassies of South Africa around the world, they identify where South Africans are, and if there's transport there to bring them home, DECO will tell us. The only thing that Home Affairs will do is to make sure that each person who is coming has got the requisite documentation, has got the passport or whatever document is needed. Are soldiers deployed at the border? Yes, indeed. As we said, the issue of securing the borders now falls within the army. The issue of whether we'll bring documentation, because there are allegations and counter-allegations about the refugees in Cape Town. Yes, indeed they are. We have got all the documents. We'll definitely present them to you. Honorable Kanile, yes, we are aware of the people who wanted to come here for health, including the baby for a heart operation We facilitated that movement. We have facilitated a movement of everybody. For instance, in Lesotho, just to give you an example, all the people who are on chemotherapy, let me say most, they are receiving their chemo from South Africa. There's no way we'll stop them, and we've been facilitating their movement to come into the country. The issue of how many people, Honorable Zamdela, about I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing the name very well, about the number of people who are affected in Home Affairs. We don't have any other information except the Vryheid offices. The only worker who was working on Home Affairs who was affected by COVID-19 is a worker in Vryheid offices. We have not had any other worker or any other client being affected. And all the clients there were followed up and were still waiting for the results of the clients. The clients were few, as it was said, 17 per day. If we were giving all the services, it could have been thousands of people which were supposed to be, health was supposed to follow up. The expiry of documents, honorable members, we said any document, it doesn't matter which is issued by Home Affairs, be it a visa or asylum seeker permit, etc. All of them, we won't regard them as having expired. If they expire intra-lockdown, we actually said we are extending that to the 1st of July, and then we'll take it from there. People who have got visas which will expire, etc. I was also asked about passports that expire of people from other countries. We don't issue passport to people from other countries. Their own countries do so, and their embassies. If their passports expire, they have to contact their embassies, and their embassies will decide on what to do. It's not the function of Home Affairs to give passport to a person from another country.
Drones are helping to spread messages on how to prevent coronavirus infection in the far-flung, poor rural areas of northern South Africa's Greater Tzaneen municipality. Local authorities have been pioneering the use of the aircraft as a tool to educate people about COVID-19 in the local languages of Sepedi and Tsonga while monitoring potential non-adherence hotspots. This video comes to us courtesy of the Voice of America.
COVID-19 has changed many things in South Africa. Here, in the Greater Tzaneen municipality of South Africa's northern Limpopo province, the mayor's voice comes from a drone in the sky, warning about the potentially vital virus. With only 3 hospitals in the entire district, extensive coronavirus prevention efforts are needed, says Mayor Maripi Mangena.
We are able to access our people. A drone is a fact that is not a very common technology that is being used. I think it's part of the 4th industrial revolution. But how we are using it, when it flies, when it hovers above the communities, it fascinates, it intrigues people. People want to listen. People want to hear. What is the message that is being said?
Licensed drone service provider is carrying out the messaging at potential coronavirus hotspots under the direction of the South African Police and with the guidance of the municipality's COVID-19 committee. The Greater Tzaneen municipality was originally the only jurisdiction willing to use drones from Mtiyizo Aviation Services, says company managing director Jack Shiluana.
You can see they've got the perception that we're talking about the whole lot of money that you spend in this exercise, and others would probably ask to say, but why don't you provide water? And it is that balancing act, in terms of how much drone technology costs you, but the value that you derive from an exercise such as this one.
Drones are well suited for this purpose in rural areas, especially in Africa, because they provide more value for the money spent, says the head of South Africa's Federation of Unmanned Aircraft Systems, Sam Twala.
In Africa, that's where drones are able to find
better use compared to even other areas in the world or other countries in the West, simply because of that particular challenge that we might have. And when it comes to things like your cost, that's where actually drones add much more value, because drones offer that advantage where you can tactically, place your people.
It seems that the spreading of the message about COVID-19 prevention has helped in the Tsenin region, says a local journalist.
I believe it helped. And I believe that without the drones broadcasting these messages to the people in the far-off areas, they wouldn't have known.
So far, just one case of coronavirus infection has been reported in the Greater Tsenin municipality. Marise de Klerk for VOA News, Johannesburg, South Africa.
The following package was shot and produced by Workers' World Media Production. Workers' World is an independent labour movement media. This insert focuses on COVID-19 and its impact on community health workers.
I started to do the recycle 2009. So I collect the bottles and I bring it here. We work, both me and Mrs. Njana.
Lo msebenzi unalo ungeniso ba siyakwazi ulala sikile sibeke into phezu kwetafile, but asinathi ngenyanga ingeniso lawo imali. Le ngxowa iyakwazi ubiza 200 nto ekubeni yona usebenze almost 5 months uqokelela usophula and ukuyidanger yoba ezincebanya zibona zingangena lapha emehlweni vele ndiphanyake bekhona abangenwe sezibhotile emehlweni ayindimndedwa ii-colleagues zami sezike zayifumana lo mahluko nathi siyahlatywa zezibhotile.
Njengoba zihereza asisebenzi senzele ukuthi singantshontshi njengoba zihereza lokho okuncane sikutholayo senze ukuthi siphile.
Iingxaki zethu thina singabaherezi ekuqala kokuba kukho abaherezi abangathathelwa ngqalelo ngumasipala abasebenza kubo. Into ebuhlungu ke kuba kule ndawo abasebenza kuyo kunyanzelekile besebenze ngumasipala kwaxa bengenantsebenzisano entle nomasipala akumandanga. Loo nto iba yingxaki kubo.
This work is not easy. It's very hard. Because when you come to do this work, you must get up early, especially today. Today is Tuesday. In our place, they collect the bins. It's the day that it's very nice for us, to go and see in all the bins of these areas. Today we didn't do that because we're scared of this virus, but now it's difficult for us.
Njengoba singabantu abacholayo basote bathengise sithengisa ngeprice encinci kakhulu. Ibuhlungu ke because umsebenzi omninzi wenziwa sithi sithengisele omiddlemen ne-companies ezinkulu. Kodwa into siyaziyo ukuba nathi sinegalelo kwi-economy yalapha elizweni lethu.
Sihlukumeze kakhulu kasatholi lutho. Kwanamhla sazisolela sidleni asinamali. Ne-grab yard esikalisa kuzo ivaliwe. Kunzima konke nje ayikho into elula.
Kudala sinqonqoza into yoba urhulumente makasirecognize the workers ngoba siklina i-community, siklina zonke areas side siye nakwii-damp places sikhangela lama empty, sikhangela le recycling.
So the main challenges that reclaimers face working on a daily basis are all related to the fact that they haven't been recognized by municipalities as part of the waste management system. Because they haven't been recognized and because the work that they do hasn't been valued, they face regular harassment from the police. They are seen as intruders, and now that municipalities have been implementing separation at source and bringing in private companies to collect the materials that reclaimers normally collect.
I-concern yethu abantu njengoba bengomahluli udoti wabo nje sikweli xesha lale coronavirus pandemic apho khona abantu basebenzisa imask, basebenzisa nee-tissues. Ezinto abazisebenzisayo bazawuzilahla kwi-dustbin, zizawuya straight kwi-landfill nakwi-dumping sites apho khona kukhona abantu abangabaherezi abasebenza khona, kutsho ukuthi ke abakhuselekanga.
For reclaimers who are working, and even for those who don't, of course, many of the main challenges they face are the challenges that everyone in the communities where they live are facing. So it's lack of access to water, lack of access to sanitation, lack of access to soap and washing stations, and primarily lack of access to food.
Kulo bhubhane ukhoyo wenze i-short notice kuthi singekathengisi ukwenzela uba sibe nemali othenga ukutya. Sihleli nezibhegi apha ezindlini asikwazi uthengisa and asiphumi siyofuna umsebenzi wethu because umsebenzi wethu sijikela nakwi-malls sikhangela yonke le recycling kwezi ndawo. Ngoku kuthiwa masihlale endlini, sihlele endlini njani akukho kutya.
One of the really fantastic things that we've seen emerge during this period of lockdown is the ways in which reclaimers and the African Reclaimers Organization, and I'm sure reclaimers across the country, have been focusing on building solidarity. And so reclaimers have been fortunate that through their political mobilization, they have been able to secure donations of food parcels. And they have been doing the best that they can to ensure that they are sharing the resources that they receive with members in the communities where they're living.
Strandfontein community organizations have brought a case against the City of Cape Town manager Lungelo Mbandazayo for violating lockdown regulations by relocating 1,500 homeless citizens to the area. They want the site closed. The Strandfontein Social and Economic Development Forum and the Strandfontein Ratepayers Association, with written support from the Strandfontein Community Policing Forum and Strandfontein Facility Management Committee, are represented by attorney Vernon Seymour. A spokesperson for the group, Mandy Van Willing, accused the city of lying about the number of tenants in the camp being used for the homeless. The matter will be heard in the Western Cape High Court. The city's Fire and Rescue Service received an emergency call last night reporting that a dwelling was alight in Tybos Road, Bonteheuwel. No injuries were reported and all occupants were accounted for.
The city's Fire and Rescue Service received an emergency call at approximately 9 o'clock yesterday evening of a dwelling alight in Tybos Road, Bonteheuwel. The swift response of fire crews from Epping managed to contain the fire quickly. The dwelling sustained extensive damage, whilst the adjacent dwelling sustained minimal damages. The fire was extinguished at approximately 23 minutes after 10. No injuries were reported and all the occupants were accounted for.
We're taking a short ad break. When we come back, and Octavia and Lova will have the latest on social media.
Welcome back. Before the ad break, we had Vicky McCallum with the latest news. The following insert comes to us from Khayelitsha Community Action Network. Let's take a look.
08 000 029 999 08 029 999.
Hi everyone, Kamalam Nunospio. I'm a part of Kaili Chaken. Namhlanje sise island sizopha abantwana isupu because of izikolo zivaliwe. Abantwana bebeqhela utya esikolweni and then now baselokishini. Kwezinye izindlu abanako ukutya. Bebeqhele uhlala esikolweni batyiswe esikolweni.
Hi everyone, my name is Namakaya Jweli. I'm the part of the Kailicha Ken. Kailicha Ken siyeseza apha eqanduqandu ukuzopha abantwana isuphu kuba sibazi abantwana babe besitya esikolweni ngoku abananto utya ezindlini. Sacinga iplan yoba maske singenele kwezi informal settlement sibanike isuphu. So silapha eqanduqandu namhlanje izolo besise-island nomso siya eAzania icawe siko-BM. Kwiziponsa besizicela ebantwini uba mabasicela inkxaso babasincedise sizokwazi ubonelela abantwana. Sithe enkosi kwikapa lonke liphela ngosincedisa ngaloo nto.
And now for social media. Share your thoughts with us. We're on Facebook at Our City CT and on Twitter at Our City CT. This is a time that we need to come together as a nation. These are the popular hashtags on Twitter today. Hashtag Sindisiwa Gomba. The Eastern Cape MEC is under fire after she failed to mute her mic after a virtual media briefing. Gomba was heard expressing irritation in Xhosa, but hurried to explain she was hot and bothered by her clothing and not the meeting. Oops. Hashtag Basic Education. Twitter remains unimpressed with today's basic education briefing, wondering how schools would manage school social distancing and enhancing the wearing of masks. The department doesn't want learners to miss a whole year. After the break, we'll be crossing over to Vicky McCullen, who will share information on resources and places of safety that you can use during this period. Stay with us.
Welcome back. You're still tuned to Our City, the COVID show, with me, Vicky McCallum. Before the ad break, Octavia and Lovu looked at what has the nation buzzing on social media platforms. For your latest news around the COVID-19 pandemic and to see what other Cape Townians are doing to keep safe, tune into Cape Town TV Daily. These are some organizations helping the community stay safe during this period. That's all we have for you today, but if you have something to say, we want to hear from you. Send your comments, news and questions to us via Facebook at Our City CT, on Twitter at Our City CT, or get in touch with us via email on ourcity@capetowntv.org. This is a time that we need to come together as a nation, so if you're not sure about something, send us your questions and we'll try to find the answers for you. You can also call us on 021 448 0448. From me, Vicky McCallum and Octavia and Lovu, have a great day. Goodbye.